Welcome to Whitetail Rendezvous, hosted by Bruce Hutchin. I'm so happy you've joined us today, and you're going to find out a lot about whitetail hunting on the show. This is Whitetail Rendezvous, episode number 365. We welcome back Frank McDonough. This is Frank McDonough, part 2 of Online Archery Challenge. We talked about Online Archery Challenge a week or so ago, and people have asked, what's that really about? So Frank's going to break it down even more. Very simply, it's a digital archery challenge. People have teams throughout the whole country, and they compete against themselves. I shouldn't have said country. I should have said it's a global archery challenge. You're going to find it unique, and you can find it on https onlinearcherycomps.com. And you can find out everything about it. But I'm going to let Frank tell you all about it, and also some of his recent Pennsylvania whitetail hunts. He's got some tips and techniques you're not going to want to miss. It's never too early to think about food plots. Whitetail Rendezvous has an ebook for you. Just simply text 33444 food plot to get your copy. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. This is your host, Bruce Hutchin, and we're heading out to Pennsylvania. We're heading out east, and we're going to talk to Frank McDonough. Now, Frank was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him to come back and do a part 2. And Frank is the owner, founder, originator of Online Archery Challenges, and we'll be talking about that throughout the show. So, Frank, welcome to the show again.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, let's just do a quick takedown on Online Archery Challenges in case somebody, forgot what you said or missed the show. So why don't you kind of just take us through why you started it, what it is, and what its reach is.
Okay. Real quick, Online Archery Challenges is online. We have a Facebook page, which actually leads you to our competitors group with Online Archery Challenges, and the page itself is Online Archery Challenges of Facebook, and the group is in the pinned post on the page. What O.A.C. has become is I'm a target archer by passion. I love shooting competitive target archery. I'm a scholastic 3D coach, regional coordinator here in southeastern PA. And a lot of my time every single week, 2 days a week, goes into I have about 15 to 20 kids from 3rd grade to 12th grade that I work with twice a week. And O.A.C. turned into a real life competition kind of opportunity, and to grow kind of competitive archery and mesh the two entities of bow hunters and target archers. So I created this Online Archery Challenge thing, and it kind of started out with just some friends, and 3 years later, we're thousands of members deep, and we do like 7 shooting challenges per year, and, it's introducing a lot of new people to the world of target archery, more so than target archers. Most target archers are bow hunters that I've found, except for, younger kids and stuff, or parents who are looking for an activity for their kids to participate in. But in O.A.C., I have dozens and dozens and dozens of bow hunters that knew nothing about target archery. They didn't know what a Vegas round was. They don't know, about some of the bigger shoots that we host in our country, like the World Archery Festival, which is the Vegas shoot, the Lancaster Archery Classic. And these just, we're just growing the sport and educating people along the way.
Now, again, how would somebody get involved? They've heard about it from the show, and they say, I'm interested in that. What's their next step?
Next step, just you can visit the Facebook page or just look up our competitors group, and it says, you just do a Facebook search for Online Archery Challengers. You'll see competitors group, join the group, and it's real simple. First of all, it's free. And then second of all they have to do is post a video stating who they are, where they're from, and, typically the people are showing off their bows and what they shoot, and that they want to join the team. There's teams looking for people right now. 15-man, I take that back, 15-person rosters. And, we I have to do that because we have two all ladies teams that are spread throughout the nation. So, I mean, you gotta give homage where it's due because the ladies are killing it right now with their target archery and stuff because they get points for shooting in leagues. They get points for going and shooting club 3D shoots, stuff like that for their team. So, it's simple. Post a video, say, and show a valid hunting license. That's the other thing that we do is because we give points for people who harvest animals for your team, but you have to show that you did it legally. There has to be, and it's so easy to just screenshot game laws or show confirmation of a tag if it's an animal that had to be tagged and stuff like that. So we try to promote ethical. It's all ethical. If you can't show that you did it lawfully, obviously you don't get points. And number one, number two, I've already booted two people from the competition because they decided to do something that was outside of the laws of ethics. Let's just put it that way.
Well, good for you, and props to everybody. You said last time we talked that you are global, so let's talk about why somebody in Malaysia or Australia would be interested.
Well, because it applies. I mean, archery is global, and it's in Scotland. I'm going to give a shout out to Rod Groom. He's over in Scotland. They don't hunt there, and field archery is super popular. 3D archery is super popular, and he shoots competitively, and that's all he does. But by participating in O.A.C., he's contributing to Team APA. He's a huge points provider for their team. And Rod's he's a phenomenal target shooter. He's a little bit of a sniper when it comes to a bow. I mean, the guy he's accurate. He's got a refined shot, and he's got nerves of steel because he shoots on camera all the time, and he does a lot of his shooting, on live feed during the group, and you can't duplicate that. And sometimes traveling to shoot against others or with others just isn't the option. How many of us out there can travel unless you're getting paid, to go travel to all these shoots and represent a company or something like that? O.A.C. provides you an opportunity to shoot, represent a team, and combine hunting and target archery, and have fun with it for relatively little to no cost. I mean, some guys are buying targets, which are necessary for some of the shooting challenges from one of our sponsors, but it gives another opportunity to make sure that the word of archery, the sport of archery and bow hunting is spread, in a ethical and responsible and competitive manner.
Well said. And then one more time, if somebody listening to the show is interested in getting involved, how do they do it?
Simply go to our Facebook page, Online Archery Challenges, look at the pinned post, or just search for Online Archery Challenges and join the group. It's really that easy. We do have a website. It's www.onlinearcherycomps.com. Find us there also. All the information spelled out. So it's really pretty easy to find.
Well, and I just, last time we talked, I marveled about what you were doing and how you were doing it. And it's just amazing in the digital world how you can build community. And that's what I look at Online Archery Challenges. You're building community globally, yet most people will never meet each other. And
100% correct.
What a wonderful thing. And props to you and your crew over there for stepping out and doing that, because I see a huge future for you guys, and hopefully down the road we can figure out how Whitetail Rendezvous can help you grow. Let's switch it up and talk about being a 365-day a year hunter. What does that mean to you?
Well, that's where the competitive archery comes in. I mean, and obviously one of the reasons O.A.C. was created, because O.A.C. has shooting involved year round, and that's what we're pushing more and more bow hunters to do, is that it's not really acceptable, or for too long was considered acceptable, to pick the bow up 2 months, 3 months prior to the season, and for some maybe even less, to try to go out and harvest an animal. That's just not an ethical way to be, and that's not what we want. What we say, there's 10% anti-hunters, 10% hunters, and it's the other 80% that we have to try to paint a positive picture for. So we want to make people realize and kind of reinforce the hunters that you got to get out there and shoot. Well, I mean, I shoot competitively all year round, except for during whitetail season. I shoot open class typically, but I think stepping outside of your box and shooting more competitive archery, whether it's a bow hunter setup with fixed pins and shorter stabilizers, or if it's open where you're shooting scopes and all kinds of stuff, whether it's shooting 3D, shooting field, shooting indoors, outdoors, shooting in a competitive format just reinforces the muscle memory that's going to transfer over to the tree stand. There is no, I don't care what, your theories are or what devices that you use on your equipment, there's no replacement for pure unadulterated practice and practicing right with maybe a coach, or to make sure that your form is on point, because when that happens, that's what takes over when you're standing in a tree stand.
What else do you do to be a 365 hunter? Practice. I get that. And when I used to shoot 3 arrows every day I was home. I used to travel corporate America, so I was on the road Monday through Thursday. But if I was home Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I would I just shoot 3 arrows in my backyard, 20 yards. And it wore out the center of the target. So then you have to go to a different. Then you have to go to a different dot. But saying that, what other things do you do to prepare your land, to prepare your gear?
Well, I mean, from shooting, I think what I think there's multiple ways to dissect that. But from a shooting aspect, one of the things that I do is I shoot long distance, much longer than I would shoot at an animal typically in the field. I hunt Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania is one of the toughest states to hunt. I think, you can talk to a multitude of people who either live here or hunt here, and they'll tell you it's a huge, has a very large population of hunters. It's one of the top 3 hardest states to hunt. I think Michigan's up there, and I don't remember what the other one is. There's a huge per capita of hunters, and the deer population is decent, but for you to get a 3.5, 4.5-year-old buck, holding on your property, it's difficult to do. So, I mean, in my off season, I just took over a new property, managing a new property last year. It hasn't been farmed in like 10 years. The property pretty much was just a hay field, and there wasn't a lot of cover, and it's adjacent to a tree farm. Well, the tree farm, I mean, they have crop damage tags, and they're constantly hammering away at whatever. It's brown is down type of deal. So, knocking on doors in the off season, trying to create friendships or at least acquaintanceships with neighbors or neighboring properties. Managing crops. This year we're planting this field. We're going to try to draw the deer in. We're doing some hinge cutting here in the next few months. Try to make a little bit more of appealing bedding areas in and around the property. It's only like 100 acres. So, and just it's an all year endeavor. I mean, that it's bow hunting specifically is an all year endeavor. That's the other thing I did last year that we implemented: no gun hunting on this specific property. So, we're saving any gun hunting for kids that are 12 and under.
Thanks for that. Let's kind of pick apart what you just said. And right now, folks, is the best time to do 2 things. One, get to know your neighbors, even if you've never talked to them, even if, every gun season, all you hear is shooting from there, and they're they're shooting whatever deer they want to shoot, and you're trying to grow your herd. And so, time for sit down. Bring a pie over. Bring some soda, whatever. Don't go in empty handed. Just say, hey, drive in the yard and walk up to the door and knock on the door. Do not be in your camel clothes. Be like
Yes.
any other guy, be in jeans and plaid shirt or whatever. But just go and have a visit. And
yeah,
go
absolutely.
ahead.
I think I just want to reiterate: don't be in camel clothes. Don't show up with a gun on your shoulder and camel clothes and say, "Hey, can I go hunt?" And don't show up during archery season. I mean, show up. I think there's a networking part to being a hunter that goes no matter where you go. Talking with friends, talking with people, talking with. You overhear somebody saying, oh, man, I have these deer just ravaging blueberry bushes, whatever. You have to network a little bit outside of just knocking on doors. But when it comes to knocking on doors, do it in the off season. Just ask them to shed hunt. Say, hey, can I take my son, my nephew, just take your dog for a walk and go do some shed hunting, or say, hey, I saw a coyote. If obviously you don't want to tell any tall tales, but if you see some coyotes or foxes, or say, maybe pick up trapping and do a little predator management, offer to do predator management. There's ways to slowly work your network around you to get on properties. A lot of times there's this farmhouse and maybe it's an old couple, or offer to work in the fields, in the barns, feed animals, bale hay. I mean, you got to reach outside the box a little bit and not just, knock, knock, knock. Hey, can I hunt your land? That doesn't work. I have where my 9-year-old shot his first deer this year with a 243 in rifle season. And, it was on a friend's property. She has her buck to doe ratio is like 2 buck for like 20 doe. I mean, she's got doe like crazy. And she said she came to my archery range to shoot and we worked in her form a little bit and stuff. She's like, hey, you want to come over and hunt, bring Evan over, I could really use some help with some doe management. I said, absolutely, I'll do that, and then we met through Facebook, and she came to shoot at my archery range, and, it just kind of transpired from there. So that, it's all in how you, I think, present yourself, how you present the bow hunting community, and obviously my son shot that animal with a 243, but we hunted all year long with a crossbow for him because he can't pull legal weight yet. He's only a little, he's only a little guy. So it's just, you have to think outside the box and kind of always have it on your radar.
And the thing I like about when you get out into the country and you can help people. And I remember, many, many different situations where I met somebody and then, excuse me, I would show up in the summer and they'd kind of look at me and I'd go, hey, I'm here to hay. But I knew the times of year when they were doing something and I'd gather with them. Gather means I sat on a horse. The horse and the dogs did all the work. I just sat on a horse. I'm not a cowboy, folks, but I can sit on a horse and not get thrown off. But you do those little things, and to this day, I'm friends with those people. What did it take me? Absolutely nothing. I just became a friend. I became a neighbor, and that's the big thing and we'll move on after we say this. But you want to become a good neighbor, even if your neighbor isn't a good neighbor, and you can qualify that however you want. Your thoughts on that, Frank?
No, I mean, you're 100% correct. And just to, in closing, we have to realize that no matter what we're doing or where we are constantly representing hunters across the nation. And to protect our heritage, protect everything we want to do, we have to have that approach. This goes to social media too. If I'm sharing pictures nonstop on my personal Facebook page of dead animals with arrows stuck in them, or tongues hanging out. Let's face it, people don't necessarily want to see it, but a lot of times they're just uneducated on the topic. So we have to, in our part, do what's necessary to, dare I say, shine us up a little bit. You know what I mean? So it's not just in personal life or knocking on doors; it's on social media too. And these people might be seeing our post online.
I couldn't agree more. And um, I just came back from Iowa Deer Classic, and there's every single type of hunter there, but we're all hunters. We're all community. And just like you're doing with online archery challenges, it's up to us to build the community. So it's not Ford and Chevy. I don't care what arrow they shoot. I don't care what rest they shoot, what broadhead, how they shoot. Um, you know, um, we're all community. So let's support each other. And having said that, let's move on to how you support the deer in your land. Holding mature bucks on your land. How do you do that?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, it's like I said, it's hard in PA, and you can't expect to put cameras out a couple weeks before the season and like, oh, yep, there's deer there, and to expect something to transpire. We know that your more mature bucks, your 4.5, 5.5 in PA. Gosh, if you can find a 6.5-year-old, you're really on something. Their territory shrink even throughout the rut. Their territory shrink the older they get. They don't get old by being dumb. You know what I mean? I'm no Mark Drury. I'm not a big, huge whitetail killer guy. I'm a dad that works a full-time job, runs an archery program, and I hunt as much as I possibly can. Shoot doe pretty much every year, but I don't always shoot buck because I just pass them up. I pass them along, and until one comes my way that is bigger than the one I shot previously. And when it comes to trying to hold those deer, I'm investing a lot of time in this specific property because it's a friend's farm. She's a single mom, doesn't hunt. Her kids are like best friends with my kids. And I wanted to create this opportunity for kids to create a farm, slowly create a farm that's going to make hunting fun for my children, for her children, or maybe even some of our friends that would happen to go. So this year, the owner of the tree farm that's adjacent is coming over. He's going to plant the fields for us. He actually is going to be a combination, I believe, of corn and alfalfa. And then there's a back corner that's going to be a food plot. It's going to be a winter, a late fall food plot for me. And, we're doing, I'm actually taking, I talked with Steve Bartella a little bit via Facebook and, showed him the layout of the land, and we were kind of just going back and forth about the area, and we're going to be cutting some lanes, some little bit of call it a subjective deer path, kind of pre-cutting some areas for an ease of access. We know deer can be lazy, so we're gonna. I'm taking a little bit of a play out of his book, and we're going with the food source. The water's already established. Going to do some hinge cutting because I have a specific area that's a sanctuary that we completely stay out of. And, I'm not going to hold them there 24/7, but, I'm going to present every opportunity from bedding to food to means of egress and entry and egress, or egress and regress to upon wind conditions, to make it as appetizing of a hunting area as possible. So when the kids go, that we're seeing deer. So that I don't care if they're shooting anything, but we're seeing deer, and we already have tons of turkeys there. And he planted soybeans last year in the above field, above the bedding area that we're really trying to hone in on. So it's not a big, huge private land property, but it's virtually been untouched and unmanaged, and trying to go with some of the things I learned from guys like Rod White, guys like Steve, Don Higgins, Mark Kenyon, who's I've been following and talking with, periodically via social media. We've never met, just, trying to implement some of the things that I know others are doing, and talk to the guys who really know what they're doing, and get their feedback and try to implement it on my own property. Difference being, and I have to say this, hunting bucks in PA is not the same as hunting bucks in Iowa and even Ohio and, some of the big buck states that are out there. The PA is different. You're not gonna slam horns together and rattle in 4.5, 5.5 year olds every time you're out. It's just not. Chances are, you start slamming horns together, you could send them away. You will rattle in some, but you're not. Those big. You see some of the TV shows kind of are a little bit misleading. In the Northeast, you take a big set of 150-inch antlers and you start slamming them together. You're not going to see a buck because they're like, I am not going anywhere near that. It's just PA's different. In my experiences, I should say. You definitely can grunt. You're not going to use those big growling grunt, like you see on some of the infomercials and stuff like that. I haven't had any success with that. Maybe I got some learning to do myself, but everything's a little bit more subtle. What I found in Pennsylvania, you're not slamming horns. You're not big, huge growling grunts. I have snortweeze bucks in that I have done, but snortweeze isn't always necessarily an indication of size. It's just an indication of demeanor. So, that's kind of where I'm at. That's where I'm at for this season. Going forward, I've got trail cameras out for April and kind of just monitoring the population.
You mentioned a couple little nuggets. One, hinge cutting. Now, as I understand it, you hinge cut in and around bedding areas to give it more cover. Then
Right.
The other thing is you hinge cut. It's just like trapping to funnel the deer where you want them to go. What's your understanding about hinge cutting?
Well, I'm kind of exactly that. I'm doing a little bit of both. One, to create more of a more coverage, more bedding area, and also it's, if you hinge cut properly, you're providing some food source as well during that time of the year when the trees are down. But what we're seeing in this specific area, did some predator eradication last year. Did some trapping last year. That subsided some. When you start hinge cutting, you're just increasing the likelihood that those fawns are going to make it through the growing season. So I'm more concentrating on creating safe havens, and then also, like I said, we agreed about the kind of a funneling deer. I'll be doing the same aspect when I talked about making a path of least resistance from the top food feeding area to the bottom feeding area on this specific property. I'm going to be hinge cutting to kind of create a very subtle here, walk this way type of avenue for the animals in the area. So.
And folks, what we're talking about really does work. There's plenty of articles out there, YouTube, whatever. So if you're not doing these two things to help, one, create shelter, create security, and the other thing is to funnel your deer. I was talking to somebody at the Iowa Deer Classic about using Egyptian grasses to build a border around his food plots. Yep. And you'd be amazed. He said once they get inside their little cubby. Now these are microplots. These aren't 5-acre plots. These are microplots. But once the deer get in there, they really settle down. And guess what? Your tree stand, you can shoot. You're way above that Egyptian, and so the deer are calm and they're not all wigged out. And it also helps with predation. Because sometimes they have two steps and they're in cover. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I haven't done that. I know people or have followed people who implemented that, and I will mention Mark Kenyon again from Wired to Hunt. He did some efforts on that, and I follow Mark's information, frequently because I use one of his videos specifically in my bow hunting archery course at Penn State University. And he did something similar to that. I haven't had the opportunity to get that far. This property's not quite there yet, but it's something that's kind of on the to-do list in the future, or if another area presents the right dynamic. We in my area, I live in the hard coal region of Pennsylvania, so our dirt, our soil can be a little stingy at times. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of soil testing and stuff like that. And, to get we have a lot of coal. We got coal region bucks up here. They live on top of coal mountains.
Hey, while we're at it, some props to Mark Kenyon, um, Dan Johnson from Nine Figure Chronicles, who also is the co-host of Wired to Hunt. If you're not listening, if you're not following Mark Kenyon and Dan Johnson, you ought to, because they have excellent content. And every time you read their blog, listen to their podcast, you're going to learn something. And
absolutely, I agree 100%. I've been following Mark and Dan since before Jawbreaker. Remember, did you ever see his little documentary on the deer named Jawbreaker?
No, I have not.
If you get a chance, watch it. But I actually utilize that video and in my class, and I've been following Mark since probably somewhere near the beginning of Wired to Hunt. I'm not sure, and we've gone back and forth, online. I've participated in the 100% Wild, or he had prior to 100% Wild. It was Whitetail Q&A, I think. Back and forth. We've never met, and I've never talked to him on the phone. We're just, so Facebook friends, I guess you could say. But I do trust, a lot of what the content they're putting out. I absolutely trust it, share it. Same with the stuff that you're putting out, Bruce. Same principle. I mean, when you're putting good content out there, it deserves to be known and shared, and make sure that we're pointing people in the right direction.
Thank you. Well, it's hard to believe, Frank, but we burned through another 30 minutes. So give a shout out, and then we got to wrap the show.
Sure, no problem, man. I just want to give a shout out to some of our sponsors at O.A.C, if that's okay.
Sure. The mic's yours.
Big shout out to T-Force Outdoor Products. They're our title sponsor for O.A.C. They're a camo company that has supported me for the last 2 years, and they do a lot of good things. They're definitely a company by hunters that makes products for hunters. Shout out to Nice Targets, Jim Stroller over at Nice Targets, and they support us unconditionally because they provide amazing deals for all of the competitors at discounted prices and ship their targets literally all over Canada and North America. So definitely a big shout out to them. And those targets are like indestructible. Those things last indoors, outdoors. It doesn't matter. And then big shout out to some of our new sponsors like Field DIY Apparel and also Ultimate Predator Decoys. I don't know if you've seen those. I have one coming here shortly. I'll try to use one for turkey season if at all possible. But I'll tell you what, Ultimate Predator makes some pretty amazing stuff. And if you look at the videos I got out there, I can't wait to get my hands on one of those. So, I mean, there's more and more people getting involved in O.A.C, and I definitely have to throw some homage to them because it means a lot that they support us. In the same token, we definitely want to return that favor. So, and thank you to Whitetail Rendezvous, best podcast ever.
Thank you. So on behalf of thousands of listeners throughout North America, Frank McDonough, thank you so much. And folks, Online Archery Challenge, if you haven't signed up, if you shoot a bow, there's no reason why you don't get active in this. It's free. You compete with people around the world. You get your crew together and you go out and have some fun. And it's the digital world that's making a difference. Frank is building a huge community of like-minded people, guys and gals that love to shoot their bows. So again, one more time, his website is onlinearcherycomps.com.
Yes.
So Frank, thanks again, sir. I can't wait till we can talk about doing some social media leverage. I'd love to talk to you about that. So
sure.
Let's put that on the schedule next month. This month has just flown by, and I've got a lot of work to do because I was at Iowa Deer Classic. But I'm digressing here. It's time to wrap the show. So Frank McDonough, Online Archery Challenges, thank you so much for being a guest.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
On the next show, we're going to welcome Jake Hackler. Now, Jake has an operation called the Everyday Outdoorsman. He's got a great operation in Ohio, and he gets on some pretty big bucks. He's going to tell you how and why and when he hunts suburban bucks. You're not going to want to miss the show.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.